Hi class. So this week we are going to talk about participle phrases and how they can, as you can see here, add some energy to your writing. But first, let's take a look at this cartoon that I found for this particular one. And I want you to listen to this and see if it sounds kind of funny to you. Waiting for the bus, the time went by slowly. This is actually a misplaced modifier, right? Because the time isn't going to wave. The time doesn't have hands. So that's one thing that we'll talk about. You have to be careful when you use these because sometimes you'll get your reader might misinterpret what you're trying to say. But anyway, let's go through it. How participles work. To understand how these phrases work, consider the following cluster. And before we do that, just a reminder, right? We're talking about phrases. Phrases are a group of words that lack a subject or a verb and cannot stand alone. So whenever we add phrases to sentences, we are going to use commas. Take a look at these three. Hurricane Katrina ripped through Florida. Hurricane Katrina left hundreds of thousands homeless. Hurricane Katrina caused billions in property damage. So as we did with the appositive phrase, how this method works is we combine three complete sentences into one, or sometimes two, and we are turning one or two of those sentences into phrases. One way to combine these sentences would be to create a series. Take a look at this example. Right, this is not the participle phrase though. Hurricane Katrina ripped through Florida, left hundreds of thousands homeless, and caused billions in property damage. All right? Or you could create participle phrases, and that's our focus for this week. Let me scroll right up here. Ripping through Florida, comma, causing billions in property damage, comma, Hurricane Katrina left hundreds of thousands homeless. Or another way to do it, just like with the appositive phrases, Hurricane Katrina, notice the dash. If you attended the Zoom session, we talked about Gladwell's use of dashes and how he wants the reader to pause for a second and for that to really stand out. All right, so let's start over. Hurricane Katrina ripping through Florida and leaving hundreds of thousands homeless, caused billions in property damage. So you can see here by the dash, right, the writer really wants to emphasize the damage that the hurricane did. Okay, so notice what we did here though, right? We took Hurricane Katrina ripped through Florida and turned it into a participle phrase, right, making it ripping through Florida. We took Hurricane Katrina caused billions in property damage, turned it into a phrase, and ended up with causing billions in property damage. And then we are left with a complete sentence, right? So this is a simple sentence. It has a subject, Hurricane Katrina, and a verb, left. All right? These are just phrases to make give your writing more pizzazz, okay? The examples above all include verbs that end in ing, ripping, causing, right? These are known as present participles. Present participles end in ing. Past participles are another type of participle phrase. They include verbs that end in ed. Same concept here. Look at tremendous winds tore at rooftops. Tremendous winds flattened trees. Tremendous winds were clocked at over 170 miles per hour. So we have tore, flattened, clocked. Look at what happens when we combine them into one sentence with past participle phrases. Clocked at 170 miles per hour. Tremendous winds tore at rooftops and flattened trees. Okay? Present participle, ing. Past participle, ed. And normally, if you're going to write in the present tense, you're going to stay in the present tense, or vice versa, right? Past. If you you'll notice that sometimes you can mix a present participle and a past participle within a sentence, as long as it sounds okay. And it's always good to read it aloud. And this is going to go back to the cartoon. You want to use them correctly. Right? To use participle phrases skillfully, put what you want to emphasize in the main sentence, and in longer sentences, make sure you put the participle phrase close to the key words they describe. All right, let's take a look here. Mobile homes rolled and cartwheeled in Katrina's path. Mobile homes shattered into fragments of lethal aluminum. In the sentences above, mobile homes, right, are the key words. So that should be in the main sentence. So if we turn this into a participle phrase, rolling and cartwheeling in Katrina's path, comma, here's the complete sentence. Mobile homes shattered into fragments of lethal aluminum. Or mobile home, should be homes rolled and cartwheeled in Katrina's path, shattered into fragments of lethal aluminum. Watch out for the dangling ones. This will, right? Covered in mustard and relish, I enjoyed the hot dog. See how this sentence makes it sound like I was covered in mustard and relish when actually we're referring to the hot dog? So the correct version would be, this sentence sounds like a person was covered in mustard and relish. Yeah. So the correct version would be, covered in mustard and relish, the hot dog was very satisfying. Okay? Now, just like we did with the appositive phrase, we're going to focus on sentence combining. Here's an example for you. Let's read these two. Marcus stood on the deck of the boat. Marcus raised one hand to shade his eye. First thing you want to do, whether there's 2 or 3 or 4 sentences, is we're going to choose one to keep. I'm going to keep that one. That means that I got to turn this into a participle phrase. So that means the fact that Marcus stood is on the present tense, right? So that verb is going to have to be changed to raising, right? So what if we did our revision like this? Raising one hand to shade his eyes, comma, because it's a phrase, Marcus stood on the deck of the boat. Man, there's more than one way to do this though, right? Let's try a subject-verb split. Marcus, comma, now we'll put our phrase, raising one hand to shade his eyes, comma, verb, stood on the deck of the boat. See how we did that? These things, most of the time, are interchangeable. Let's try it at the end. Marcus stood on the deck of the boat, comma, raising one hand to shade his eyes. Usually one is going to sound better. I think the first 2 are fine. I think they all work. But you don't have to write 3. You're going to focus on 1, and then you're going to write your imitation here. And again, why are we doing this? Because I want to see these in your writing. Hopefully by now you saw the importance of the appositive phrases. Right? The appositive phrases provide you with a quick opportunity to explain to your reader, who you're quoting and things like that. So let's do an imitation of number 1. Let's see. Okay, maybe I'll try a subject-verb split. John, comma, clutching his stack of graded essays, comma, right? Now we need our verb. What did John do? Ran out the door to avoid being late for class. All right. So there's our imitation. I decided to imitate that one. So you're going to have 6 groups, right? So when you get down to, like group 5 and 6, even though you have 3 sentences, you're only going to keep 1, right? You're going to turn 2 into participle phrases. So keep that in mind, okay? Thanks for listening.